want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
Trigger
Oh
alert.
yeah.
We're
Oh
back in
yeah. Here we
town.
go. Here we go. What's in the
Oh, it's on.
box? Oh,
What's in the box?
Don't look. Don't look. Don't look. Don't look.
in the box.
Oh man, that's an inside. That's an inside thing for some
It's a
people.
little bit inside joke. You don't want to know.
You either you know or you don't know. What's in the box? Trigger alert. Trigger alert. Trigger warning. Hey, if you don't know, I'm Kirk M. Samuels.
And this guy is Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations for you. So trigger alert for all the ladies out there. We want you to listen and hear. Take some deep breaths. You're going to need to strap in, put your seat backs and tray tables in their full upright positions, and get ready because there might be a little bumpy ride. Because we're all talking about what you need to hear, not what you want to hear about divorce and what to expect after the fact or before the fact, or things to look forward maybe before, so you don't make the same mistakes.
Yeah, so sometimes we speak to men and sometimes we speak for men. And in this divorce series that we've been doing, for the most part, I'm going to say about 92.8% of the conversation has been to men, largely around us and our experience and getting our poop in the group and all that kind of stuff. And so, we believe in balance and we believe in keeping the big picture in the forefront. And so this is one of those speaking for men. And so, in terms of audience, I would say this is probably directed more to the ladies. And I would bet you that probably at least 51 out of 100 guys are going to be like, yep, finally somebody said it. They said it. They finally said it. You know what I'm saying? They went Colonel Jessup. They went Colonel Jessup and said,
you can't handle this truth.
I ordered the code red. Yep, exactly. We ordering code reds tonight.
Yeah, so we did our 1 hour long radio version with behind the scenes last night, which you can go see on YouTube. There's going to be more information. We're going to do our best to condense this down to 30 minutes and give you the meat. We're going to spit out the bones. And so take deep breaths and listen. And we will give you some good information. It will be good information. Be information you may not want to hear, but something you definitely should be hearing and listening to and taking into consideration.
Hey, hit like and subscribe, hit like, share, all that kind of stuff. And definitely fellas, I'm going to say fellas, hit share on this bad boy, because this could be a lot of stuff you wish somebody would say, but you ain't never heard nobody say. So fellas, hit share on this bad boy. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, all those kind of good things to stay in touch. But this is definitely going to be one of those, I'm going to specifically say to the fellas, hit share on this bad boy. So right out of the gate, man, I mean, since we're going to get right into it, man, we want all the smoke. We want all the heat.
Yes.
Right out of the gate, man, ladies and this is not what you want to hear. This is not what you normally hear. As a matter of fact, probably I would say one of the main things that you need to hear is that, all of the hype is a bill of goods being sold to you in terms of that post-divorce perspective, that post-divorce, as we get older, if you post-divorce, we're talking at least late 30s, 40s, or whatever, 50s, all that kind of stuff. And, all of that hype that you get in the algorithm is all a big setup. Go right now, social experiment. Go take a selfie and post that bad boy. You're going to get a bunch of ladies telling you how fantastic and fabulous you are and how perfect you are. And you're going to get maybe and depending on the filters you use and all that kind of stuff, you're going to get a handful of simps, the guys that are just trying to whatever. And they're going to tell you, oh, you're so pretty and all that kind of stuff. And ironically, all the ladies telling you, to gassing you up, telling you perfect and you boss baby, and here's what you need to be, all that kind of stuff. And the guys telling you that you all whatever. The guys are the ones you don't want, as a matter of fact. We'll come back to that maybe later. But either way, all of the algorithm telling you everything that is your confirmation bias about this stage in life. There's nothing that you have to do. There's nothing that you have to consider. The world and men in the dating scene and the sexual marketplace value or dating marketplace value needs to conform to you. That ain't the case.
That's right. So I'm going to start off with what we started off last night while you're doing your selfie and posting and getting your likes and all your simps and your comments. But ladies, if you have not figured it out by now, the feminist movement has been bought and sold by corporate America, and all these things that they're telling you is a money grab. They want you to become part of their slave network or whatever. They want you to be on the credit hook and everything else. And so when they pressure you, you get your curated social media or media information that's all about the same information that either you believe or you've been looking at or you keep seeing, telling you that, oh, you don't need a man and you're a boss babe and you can do all these things by yourself. But they don't tell you is after you divorce him and you take half his stuff, you're by yourself taking care of the kids. And yeah, now you have more money, but now you have no help. And so you're by yourself doing all this work. You can't go out with the ladies as much because unless you can, get a babysitter or whatnot, you have less time to do the things you want to do. Plus, you are now less valuable sexual marketplace value for the men that you want to get. So the media streams are telling you, oh, girl, you can get whatever you want. You can get that 1%, 10% guy, even if you are a single mother because you're a powerful, bad A woman. But that's not really the reality of the situation. And what men are looking at, especially men in our middle age kind of bracket who tend to be around and date single mothers, or that's a lot, pretty much the majority of what's available out there for us to date. What we look at is different than what you're being sold on this bill of goods about being a single mother and dating.
From a guy perspective, and I'm one of those people. I kind of just, at least in terms of the way I look at it, again, I'm a two-time offender in terms of the dissolution of marriage scenario, and so I come at it from that perspective, and I look at it like I didn't lose anything in the divorce. Nobody took anything from me. Neither one of, I mean, I can't say that either one of my wives walked away with any of my stuff or any of that kind of stuff in terms of, by far, way more times out of 100, 80, 90% of our, first of all, in most cases, ladies, you're the one that ended the relationship or that ended the marriage. But even still, and those are hard statistics in terms of who files for divorce and who ends relationships. But even still, walking away from that relationship or ending that marriage or whatever, I had to take ownership in terms of if I'm writing a check every month, it's because, I was in a marriage, we had kids, it didn't work out. The numbers, the calculator, we had all these talks on the former episodes and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
At the same time, when I walk out of a marriage from a man perspective, and when I get, especially when I have had marriages end and marriages fail, my whole deck got shuffled in terms of what is important and what are the things that are interesting to me. And ladies being told that you need to have a smooth forehead like a windshield on a car, at 50 years old, like that's realistic. Sarcastic. No, that's not. Ladies being told that you need to go get all these injections of this and that. You being like manufactured, you're being completely sold. You need to go out and be a boss babe, and you need to go be successful, and then you'll find a successful man, and all these other things that don't matter to the guy, especially the guy that has been through it, has been to the puppet show and seen the strings. Jerry Maguire is fiction. And you looking for that guy that says, oh, you complete me. Whatever, girl. I mean, all that kind of stuff, man. That's not it. That's completely wrong, dead wrong in terms of the bill of goods coming out of a failed marriage or failed marriages, whatever you want to call it, and what that marketplace looks like.
Well, and to get back to, 80% of marriages nowadays are filed by women. And I think a lot of that is because divorces are filed by women because you've been sold this bill of goods, and because for a lot of us nowadays, we do not see marriage as sacred. We do not see sex as sacred. We're treating each other as commodities. And so there's nothing really wrong with that, man. And a lot of times that first marriage or the father of your children probably 51 out of 100. I know there's a lot of others that are going to say, no, my situation was different. That's fine. That's your situation. I'm not talking to you. But 51 out of 100, that dude was probably the best that, the best that you're going to get, or maybe the best option for you, because he is the father of your children. He is invested in being with you. But because there were no more butterflies, because you bought into this feminist narrative of going out and being on your own. Now, if you did that, if you bought into that scenario, they didn't tell you what you're going to experience afterwards. And that's why we're doing this episode, to talk to you about that, because your girlfriends aren't talking about it. Social media is not talking about it. The feminist narrative is not talking about it. So if you are in that situation, here's what you need to know about what guys are looking at and what they're thinking about, and why we talk to so many awesome single mothers who are 30s and 40s who cannot seem to get a man long term. And part of the reason is because that man knows, especially if he's been through it, he knows there is zero chance he's going to be your priority. You already have a priority, that's your children. And then you have your job and your house and then your other family. So, number one, he knows he's not going to be your priority. Number two, you're not going to have the time for him. So, the princess fairy tale of we're going to ride off in the sunset happily ever after and be together forever, that's already a fallacy because no time, no priority. Plus, you're basically asking him, whether you know it or not, to take 100% of the responsibility of those kids and you and the family. If he comes into your life as a second husband or whatnot, with almost 0% of the authority. So, these are things you need to be aware of, and why so many guys are gun shy about dating single mothers nowadays, because there is a whole lot of baggage and luggage that comes along with it.
So we get out into this marketplace. We get out. I call the marketplace the dating scene, or the dating scene the marketplace. We get out into this space, and again, these are not conversations that we have in terms of the reality of the situation. And guy, like I said, guys coming into it. I tell people all the time, but if you thinking about getting divorced, spend all of your money trying to save that marriage,
Yeah.
because the grass is not greener on the other side. It ain't easy out in these streets for anybody single once you get into your 40s and 50s and all that kind of stuff. And from a guy's perspective, ladies, I mean, here's a missing link, a missing element. You're not in your 20s no more. You're not in your early 30s. Body parts ain't where they used to be back then. You might have had the mommy makeovers, but at the same time, it's still not exactly the same. And so you can't date like you did when you were 20 something years old. You can't have expectations like you did when you were 20 something years old. Matter of fact, if you're in your late 40s, early 50s, and you have a mid to upper 20-year-old daughter, both of y'all are competing for the same man, in terms of that marketplace value. But at the same time, the 20-something-year-old doesn't have all the baggage that has become luggage. Doesn't have all those kinds of things. If you happen to have divorced a man who is very successful financially, and he is paying you, giving you whatever you want to call it, spousal support, then the reality is, if you get remarried, that spousal support goes away most likely. So that factors into your commitment to this guy, et cetera, et cetera. There's all these different factors that go into what that scene looks like. And guy coming out of all that, he's been through that. So he comes into the scenario with you, and he can see the whole landscape. He can see all the ins and outs. He's been through the court system and all those kinds of things. And so he doesn't see you the same way. So you're going to have a harder time, ladies, finding that guy, in the proverbial second half of life, that is looking for who you were back in the first third of your life. It just doesn't equal that way. So at some point, you either have to manage your expectations, or you have to somehow, lack of a better word, conform to your current marketplace value on the dating scene, and just have some, just be real about, here's the situation. Maybe I got to date a guy older. Maybe I got to date a guy X or X, Y, or Z. But either way, we need to change the narrative. We need to put on some glasses and see something a little bit different. I'm gonna put on my glasses.
And to that point, one of the things, I mean, if you get into the 7 Secrets of Modern Dating over at Kirk's shoulder there, the first part of that book is looking in the mirror. It's about looking at yourself and being real with yourself. And I think to the point of my last point, a lot of this feminist narrative and a lot of the you go girl narrative doesn't take into account your sexual marketplace value, your current sexual marketplace value, not your previous sexual marketplace value. The SMV changes over the years. And it's one of the things that good, bad, right, or wrong. It's the truth. For ladies, after the 20 somethings, it starts to go down, and for guys, it starts to go up, because we have to build our value. And as we get older, we have more finances and resources and more experience and things like that. And so when all of this narrative says, oh, you go girl, you're a 10 forever, that's not what the guys see. And when we add in children and divorces and things like that, I mean, I've never been married, never been divorced, and I still have to deal with the same playing field, as it were, that Kirk would, or somebody else who's been through marriages. I'm at that age, and these are the things that I see, and that's why we're doing this episode, because these are the things that are not being told to you. So, shout out to Kara and In the Loop Singles. She talks a lot about staying in your lane, And I know that all the ladies want the 6 foot guy, makes 6 figures, that top 10% guy. But if you're not in that top 10%, you're not a match. And you're coming to terms with the fact that there's nothing right or wrong. Like if you get back into the 4, 5s, and 6s, or even 7s, that's the middle area. That's average. There are more people in the average. There are more people there, and they're good, fine people. And probably you'll have more in common, and would be more comfortable and more secure within somebody who's around your sexual marketplace value. And this is something that it may be a hard pill to swallow, but something you got to look at.
We have these conversations a lot, not only individually and together, but we have these conversations with women. I have just in the last couple weeks probably had these conversations with at least 2 or 3 different women, and we hear the same things over and over again. And it's like, okay, sometimes maybe we need to put some of this stuff out there. Maybe there's some things that need to be said, and cut right into it. Of course, at this point, somebody is, oh, you guys are misogynist. You guys ain't forgetting the fact that if you follow the breadcrumbs backwards, we've been talking to dudes this whole time saying, fellas, we got to get ours, blah 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 blah. And so it has nothing to do with any of that. As a matter of fact, ideally, if you hear us correctly, this should take some pressure off of you in terms of what your expectation is, because in most cases you're going after the guy you want, not the guy that wants you. And sometimes those are two totally different things in terms of, you want that guy that is literally, 3 to 5% of the male population. But to that guy that's 3 to 5% of the male population, you are not 3 to 5% of the female population of what he wants, not what the world told you he wants. He don't want a boss. That guy don't want a boss babe. That guy wants somebody that's going to bring him peace when he gets home at the end of the day. That guy wants somebody that's going to serve him. Let's put it that way. I mean, ideally, that guy is a servant warrior like a samurai. So this is not a chauvinistic kind of thing. And to me, mutual submission, mutual service is the most powerful kind. But either way, that guy wants somebody that's going to want to come home, not put up a fight, not challenge him in terms of proving his manhood. He does that all day long. He don't want that from you. So are you that type of woman that says, man, I'm looking for a man that I can serve. I'm looking for a man that I can bring peace. And if not, you're not even close to being in that top percentage of the man that you think you want. And the man that you think you want is not the man that wants you, probably.
Yeah, and it's a hard question, but you have to look in the mirror and ask yourself, does the guy that I want, does he want me? Do I fulfill what he wants? And to that point, a lot of things you've been told are just flat out lies. What women want is not what men want in relationships. A lot of ladies, they want the guy with a degree and the big job and all the security and everything else like that. Guys don't care about your degree or your income. Now, if you have a degree and you have more income than your man, fine, great, awesome. But he doesn't care about that. What he wants is cooperation, companionship, and, for lack of a better term, peace. And so, to that point, if your picker is still broken and you still are picking up guys that you want to fix, like, oh, he has such potential and I can make him better. I don't know where you ladies get this idea. I don't know who told it to you, but men don't want you to fix them. We don't need you coming in and saying, like, you could get a guy who is a contractor or a plumber or something like that. He makes $60,000 or $80,000 a year, and you go, I'm gonna come in and tell him how to make a full business and become a CEO, an entrepreneur, or whatever. He doesn't want that. He didn't ask for that. Why do you think he would even accept that from you? But this is the mentality I see so much out there, where the ladies are like, well, he's pretty good, but I think I can make him better. Did he ask you to make him better? If he didn't, then you're in for a world of hurt, because it's not going to work out the way you think it is. So check yourself, check your SMV, check what you actually want and what you can actually achieve or what you can get, and try to get within the ballpark, within a couple of degrees of where you're at, and you will have a much better chance of actually, number one, getting dates, finding a man, and finding somebody who meets a lot of the same criteria that you're looking for, as far as socioeconomic, income, probably a lot of things in common, same mindset, things like that. When you're shooting for the stars like that, for that top 1%er, that guy has 99% of the women chasing him. So he's not going to be faithful. He's not going to be wanting to work with you or become better because you want him to be better, whatever. It's not going to work the way you think it is. And that's why we are having this hard conversation with you to go, okay, reality check. That's not going to work.
I hear so many women saying they don't want to settle. I hear so many women, but effectively, they don't want to have to change. They don't want to fix anything. They don't want to have to change anything. But I hear so many women say they don't want to settle. They want to settle, but they want a man that'll settle down.
Yeah.
I mean,
How's that work?
that's a disconnect. That is an absolute disconnect, especially if you want like the man that you want, the guy that you want, like that guy. When you draw him out on paper, all his stats and all that kind of stuff, you want that man to say. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying that okay, maybe, just maybe, I don't. If if I got to change me, then I don't want to. Then fine. I don't want to. I want a man that's going to accept me. Okay, I mean, who you are, yeah. I mean, and who you are as a person, yeah. Guess what? Sometimes what you are might need some work. Maybe sometimes what you are in terms of how that manifests and how that, and even going back to the whole, to the kid thing and the priority thing, your kids should be a priority. But you should also acknowledge that fact with him in terms of, hey, right now, this season in life, this time we're going through, maybe sometimes, the relationship might have to concede to the fact that kids need something right now. But I'm also willing to circle back at some point and make you a priority, man. Those kind of things are things that need to be addressed and worked out in terms of your settling and him settling down. He ain't gonna want to settle down if you just don't even acknowledge the fact that your relationship and him is not a priority.
Yeah, and to that point, a lot of times we see that there's this want to have that same fairy tale relationship, the Cinderella relationship and all that stuff, or you think that you're going to get the same relationship you had in your 20s before you were married, before you had kids, things like that. And the harsh reality is sometimes you have to let that go and accept a friends or lovers or friends and a lovers kind of situation because number one, you don't have time, you don't have energy, and both of you have your own lives. And so I know that we all romantically want to have find our partner and the one and all right off in the sunset. But once you're in midlife and you've already got baggage and you got kids and you got a divorce or something like that in your past, that may not be as feasible as you think it is. And it may not be as easy as you think it is because of all these things we're talking about. So it might behoove you to maybe lower your expectations as far as that type of relationship and go, well, what do I have time for? What do I have energy for? If I got the kids, 2 weeks out of the month or 1 week, and then he's got them, I've only got so much time. And maybe, if your kids are gone every other weekend, then you only have that weekend every 2 weeks to where you're free to do something, or maybe in the evenings. So you don't really have time for a relationship. Now, if your kids are out of the house, then you're basically back in
Yeah.
that 20s kind of dynamic. And so you have all the time in the world, but you got to look realistically at what is going on in your life and what your priorities are, and then work with that. And then we see a lot of frustration because they have all, a lot of ladies will have these priorities and the kids and everything and the job and the house and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But they still want to have the fairy tale romance where they're, you know, star-crossed lover syndrome and they spend all their time together. And I get it, but it's not realistic. It's probably not going to happen.
You know, said this yesterday, still believe it today. What that looks like from a guy's point of view commonly is it's completely and abundantly clear that I cannot be a priority in this relationship or the priority, but I'm supposed to make this relationship a priority and you a priority. Therefore, ladies, maybe, just maybe you got to wait till you're an empty nester to start dating until you can make it a priority and make him a priority to the degree that you want him to make you and your relationship a priority. And however many years you got left until that happens, maybe it's something you need to accept that until between now and then, it's going to be a rare kind of dude that's going to be in them Disney World pictures, with you and your kids and or up at the whatever the amusement park is in your city, or at the picnic and at your kids, recitals, and it's a rare kind of dude that'll do that. So maybe, just maybe, the guy that you want may not show up or may not be able to exist in your life until you're an empty nester because you don't have the time, the priority to invest in him the way you want him to invest in you and your life.
Yeah, and we talk to guys quite a bit about this so that they're awake and aware, but there are plenty of guys out there who aren't. And you may find a guy who's willing to come in and take up that responsibility of you and the kids and everything else. And if you find one of those guys, you better grab onto him with both hands and treat him like a king because he doesn't realize what he's stepping into. And a lot of times if he does realize, he may not want to stay around. And that's what I think a lot of times the whole ghosting thing happens when they get in, go out on a couple dates, and then they're like, wait, let me start doing the math here. Okay, she's got the kids, she got the job, and I got to have responsibility, but I got no authority. That doesn't quite add up for me. Like, what am I getting out of this kind of thing? And the juice isn't worth the squeeze for that matter. So they just kind of bounce. But there's all sorts of people out there, and you may find the one that will step into that situation. I know I've done it in the past in a dating situation, and one of the reasons we warn against guys doing that is because it's not just his broken heart, it's not just your broken heart. You got the kids to think about, even the other family. One of my exes, the father called me like, "What happened?" It's a whole. It's more complicated and convoluted. So these are things to be aware of, and that's why I think one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give is slow down. Because we see a lot of times, a lot of ladies, I see guys do it too, but there's a lot of love bombing going on because we're all lonely. We all want to find somebody. And then you find somebody, or you find somebody there's a little bit of interest, and then you just go all in and you just freak them out. It's like, so slow down. If there's interest there, if there's something like you got time to build something, but take your time and work these things out together. You can find a way to work it out. You can create a relationship that works with your kids and his kids, or your past and his past and everything else, but you got to take time to do it. When you just try to jump in with both feet, without which I'm guilty of. I've been lonely and gone, oh, you come here. Yeah, we're going to make this work. I have no idea who you are. So take your time, slow down, and maybe you can make it work, but it's probably not going to be the traditional, fairy tale romance that you wanted initially.
Yeah. There's 3 types of guys that normally show up. There's the bad boy, and the bad boy is normally who you go after, because the bad boy gives you fireworks, not a campfire, but he gives you fireworks, all the explosives and the ooh ah and the entertainment and the uncertainty and all that kind of stuff. There's the bad boy, right? Then there's the nice guy. The nice guy is normally the guy you don't want. The nice guy is the one that's the simping in your timeline from that selfie. The nice guy is the one that tells you, all the things that you wish the bad boy would tell you. The nice guy is there. The nice guy is available. The nice guy is the one you friend zone, right? And so a lot of times the guy that wants you is in your friend zone because you put him in there because he's a nice guy. And then the third one is the good man. Now the good man is like the Holy Grail. Like the good man is the one that will set his boundaries, that will have purpose, and let you know that you may not be the purpose or the priority today because he's doing things to change the world. He's also the guy that is there for you, there with you, supporting you, loving you, encouraging you, telling you all the things, holding space for you, making you safe, and all those kinds of things. And so he provides you all that kind of stuff. Here's the problem. A lot of times when the good guy shows up, when the good man shows up, you can't see him. You can see the bad boy. You see the nice guy all the time because the nice guy is there in your face. When the good man shows up, you can't see him because your picker is broken, because you're projecting your past. You're projecting your ex. You're projecting all your fears. You're projecting all the men that left you. You're projecting all of that onto him. So you don't see the good man. You see either the bad boy or the nice guy, or you make the good man to be one of a bad boy or a nice guy or a man that's probably going to hurt you because he is the Holy Grail. So maybe, just maybe, and this is where I'll circle up, maybe, just maybe, it's your picker, ladies. Maybe we need to work on you and need to work on your picker. And if you need help with that, holler at your boys. We'll help you out.
Will definitely help you out. And a lot of times the good man will see you before you see him, and probably skirt out the door before you catch an eye, because he's probably been the bad boy, he's probably been the nice guy, and that's why he's a good man, because now he has the experience and the wisdom from doing both of those things and going, oh, that doesn't really work, and that's not what I want. And now he's a little more educated, he's a little more wise, and so he takes his time and he watches. And so what you need is a little bit of self-check, a little bit of self-accountability, a little bit of reality check. And if you find a good man, if you see a good man, take your time, because if you try to go too fast, he's going to bounce. If you try to put your stuff on him and don't take accountability, he's going to bounce. That's the thing, is that a good man requires respect, and he requires you to be accountable for your actions and your kids and everything else. And so what we keep seeing is, well, I want the 1%er and the top guy, but I don't want to change myself or do anything. I'm perfect just the way I am. Well, none of us are. And we all need to be thinking about how to improve ourselves. And if we're not thinking that, especially if you're a divorcee, single mother, et cetera, and you're thinking that you're perfect just the way you are, using your filters and your makeup and your fake hair and et cetera, there's not a lot of accountability there. And every good man will accept accountability and will require respect. And so if your picker's broke and you're not doing any of those, it's time to look in the mirror and have some meetings with yourself.
Two things I'm gonna finish up with. First and foremost, good guys out there. Good guy won't put up with drama. Good guy knows he's a good guy, and he knows he's a catch. He knows he's got his poop in the group. Good guy. As soon as he sees all that luggage, that baggage that you made luggage, and as soon as he sees all the testing that you want to do, all the you want to test the bad boys, you want to test the nice guys, and try to push them off, and all your defense mechanisms. Good guys like peace out. I ain't got nothing to do with that. And so your picker, ladies. Just because he's been through divorce, even if he's never been married, no kids, that doesn't mean he can't be a good man. I mean, a lot of good men come from bad circumstances. As a matter of fact, some of the best men come from bad circumstances. So that's my one finishing point. The second finishing point is happy birthday, Jason B. Kendrick. Birthday is tomorrow, October 12th, 2022. You'll be like 58 years old or something like that. I don't know.
I'm 67. I'm retirement age.
But happy birthday, man. I appreciate you. I love you, my dog, man. You my main rapper, Scrapper. I appreciate living life with you, man. Happy birthday, man. I love you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And for my last to go thing, ain't nothing wrong with being a single mom. Ain't nothing wrong with being divorced. You just got to take a little more responsibility. You got to look in the mirror and you got to be like, guess what? Maybe I need to stay in my lane and quit listening to these knuckleheads out there. And for the next time you want to get online to listen to these knuckleheads, go to YouTube, go to Mad Men of Masculinity on YouTube, go to Facebook, Mad Men Radio on Facebook, or just go to madmenradio.com.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
Till next time, trigger alert. We'll see you on the flip side.
Mad Men out.